Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm trading the ES futures on a 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So I've got the overnight highs up here and the overnight low down here. These are our key levels for the day. So starting off, I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is right before this trade right here. And so we just push off of what forms the overnight high. And so notice we have this uptrend, break, and 2 pushes up to a new high. And that's how trends play out. When an uptrend gets a break, you can expect prices to make 2 attempts at a new high. We got those 2 attempts at a new high there, and then we immediately form a reversal pattern, which is a failed second entry right here. We can see first entry long, second entry long, failure immediately after this trend playing out right there. So this is a perfect context for a reversal pattern. The setup itself, you can see it got a bit choppy there. It's several bars right next to each other. Which is not ideal for an entry, but you got to look at the bigger picture context. The context rules over the setup. The uptrend just played out. It's a reversal pattern at a reversal area. It's very strong signal bar pushing below the EMA. 1-to-1, you already have this leg down here. You can expect a second leg down, or at least an attempt for a second leg down. And so when you get an entry like this, then you want to enter on it. And so you can see we're going sideways here. Notice how it's more choppy in the middle there, which is basically telling you where the midline is, which I don't draw midlines. I don't view it as important to draw them, but sometimes it's pretty clear. Right in the center there, it's getting the most choppy. And so, anyway, after the uptrend played out, we had the push down. We can expect a second leg down. It's a failed second entry. Pushing below the EMA, very strong, so I like that there. We push lower here. We get this extra leg down there. We retest this level here. So we push off of it. Now notice how after we push off of it, notice how that's a more significant break than any of these pushes higher here. So we can tell that on a bigger picture, this is one leg down. So we have this leg down here. We attempt to reverse right here. There's really no setups on the way up. It's just, you don't know, because you're starting to go into this downtrend here, so you don't know that it's going to bounce right there perfectly. But it does bounce. We push above the EMA. We push back down, and then once again, there's no entries on the way down there. I mean, we just push lower. There's no setups. It doesn't like push below and pull back and offer a lower high or anything. It just pushes on down. And so now we start making the second leg down. So we have this first leg down, break, second leg down. We can draw that measured move. We can see that it's in play. And then we're also starting to form a bearish imbalance in this range, which of course this is like a competing imbalance, because with the overnight range, we have the high up here, overnight low down here. Price is holding to the upside here, but then on this smaller range inside, it's starting to get a bearish imbalance where it's holding to the downside. So most likely, the bigger trend rules will play out where you're going to attempt to reach the other side of the larger range here, and so we can expect prices to attempt to make this new low. So it's not new low, but to retest the overnight low, because that's how ranges form. They go back and forth to one another, and so it's not surprising to see that we're getting a bearish imbalance in this range here. So anyway, we push lower here. We start chopping around the low of this range right here. It just gets way too choppy to take any trades, and then we push out. We have the small correction here. We push back lower. We get these corrections here. We get this first entry short, second entry short. But on a bigger picture, you can tell that that's just one leg up. I see those ticks right there, but to me, that's just one push higher here. And so then this push up here, we get a break, push up to a new high. So we can see that second entry right there. We see first entry short, second entry short. It's off this key entry point, which let me get that exact. Let me get it exact really quick. So third bounce off this key entry point. It's retesting this range right here. But there's a reason I don't want to go short right there, and that's because we just reached this measured move, and it's a big measured move. It's not a small measured move. It's a big picture measured move. As soon as we reached it, we bounced right off of it. And so what you can expect from here is 2 attempts to reverse before you want to enter back with this downtrend here. So even though you can see that second entry, the truth is it's above the EMA, it rushed right above the EMA, but the main thing is you only have one leg attempting to reverse right after reaching a major measured move. The market moves in twos. That's how second entries form. And so you want to see 2 attempts to reverse after reaching a measured move like that. Of course, it works out this time, but that doesn't mean it's going to work out next time. So anyway, we push on lower here. We start getting choppy. We chop around until we reach the EMA. There's no shorts there, unfortunately. It's just right into this mess. So anyways, we push lower here. We break out of the overnight low. We immediately start fading back in. Notice as we broke out of the overnight low, we're also overshooting this channel low right here. And so that's actually For looking for a long in this area, which when you have a downtrend like this and you overshoot, you can look for a long. You just got to make sure you don't enter into that trend line there. And so this is a pretty good combination for looking for a long, because when you break out of the overnight low, you can expect prices to attempt to fade, because that's how ranges work. When you break out of a range, you expect prices to fade back in. And so, which is good for an overshoot of this downtrend here, because when you get an overshoot, you can expect prices to break out faster, or because overshoots lead to a break, so you can expect prices to move to the other side of the channel faster. But unfortunately, no actual good setups really form. Notice we just push up here, we get this higher low. I see to the tick, you can see first entry short, second entry short. This right here, that's the real first attempt higher there, and then that's that second attempt. So if anything, the failed second entry is right here. We can see first entry short, second entry short, failure. But by the time you get this close above the EMA, and also above the overnight low, it's just right into that trend line, which you don't know if it's going to break through. It clearly resisted a whole lot before it broke on through. That's because you don't know if it's going to break through. Sometimes it will. Sometimes it'll tick onto it and stop you out. So anyway, we do push up. Unfortunately, no good setup. We make that second leg higher here. We got these 2 legs higher, and then it's a pretty big spike up here. We go way past that measured move, and then we plummet back down, almost symmetry move right there. And so here we break back out of the overnight low. We make this double bottom here. When we bounce, we push on up. There's no setups to go long there. We push back down. There's no setups. It just plummets on down. And then here, I wanna draw some other. I want to get rid of this. So notice we have this downtrend here, break, and once again, when a downtrend gets a break, you can expect prices to make a new low, especially with 2 attempts at a new low. Just like with this uptrend here, you got to break 2 legs at a new high. Here you have this downtrend, break, first attempt lower, you can expect a second leg down. And so when we push lower here, this is the start of that second leg down, and then we form this big picture failed second entry. You see first entry long, second entry long, failure. So it's a big picture failed second entry, expecting to continue on that second leg down and actually reach this measured move. That way you'd have a complete downtrend break, 2 legs to a new low, and you got a perfect looking failed second entry. It's not perfect looking, it's getting a bit sideways, but this sideways right here doesn't matter when it's this big of a failed second entry. First entry long, second entry long, failure to complete this measured move down, and I did get stopped out on it. It tapped my target. The reason that it got stopped out is because you see these lows right here. I kind of just ignored these lows. I had it to this wick right here to match with this low right here. It's clearly a double bottom right there. It's clearly resistance forming, and then I pushed my target too far out. I don't mind pushing my targets a little bit out of a resistance level, like a tick or 2. But I decided to push it a lot more out because it just looked like such a strong entry right there. But that was my mistake. I shouldn't have pushed it that far out. Let me see exactly. So this is, I pushed it 5 ticks out. So that's a point and a quarter, which of course it depends on the volatility and how big each point is that day. But this is, you can tell right there, that's pretty far, that's pushing it pretty far out for a target. I should have just used a limit order, go in a couple ticks earlier. If I got in, like, say there, or if even that would be fine, because it'd be just a couple ticks out, 1 tick out. That doesn't bother me, but I shouldn't have pushed it out all the way like that. So anyway, it tapped my target, it got stopped out. Very sad, but. Anyway, I want you to notice these bigger picture structures here. So it's easy to get caught up in all of the, the choppiness and all the, each tick going by and everything like that. So try to notice these bigger picture structures here. So we have the overnight low right here. We have this downtrend break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower. And then notice how after we get 2 attempts at a new low, forming a triple bottom here, that's when we attempt to reverse higher and we get these 2 legs up. And so after the downtrend attempts to make a new low with 2 different legs, we push up above the EMA, and then we get this first entry long, second entry long. So right after I get stopped out, we get first entry long, second entry long, which on the other side of the count, we can see it's a failed second entry. First entry short, second entry short, failure. Now, there's no room. You'd be entering right into the overnight low, which you don't want to do, but the context for this long actually is pretty good. Once again, you have downtrend trying to play out with 2 legs at a new low, and then only after those 2 legs at a new low do we have a very significant push higher and a clear reversal pattern. But unfortunately, it's just right into that level right here, which you don't know if it's going to push on through or not. So anyway, and even if you did enter that, you barely got out right there before it turned back down. So this area here, when we're holding below the overnight low, I want to wait for 2 attempts and then try to get a short on the way down. Now this trade right here is a limit order trade. I entered after this bar right here. It triggered lower, pulled back. That's where I got filled, and then I had my target down at these lows here. And so this trade to go short was betting on this reversal failing, which, it's a good reversal area, but when I see 2 attempts to reverse, and then now we're closing back below the EMA with red bars closing on their low, that's a sign that this reversal higher is failing. And so I'm going to go with the bias and the resistance level that's clearly holding, and I'm going to go short and put my target at these lows down here. I'm not going to push them far out like that time. I only did a tick this time. And so anyway, we push on out of it. You get this lower high here. There's really no reason to enter short right here. It's just a first entry, breakout, pullback. It's not worth taking. We push lower here. We start getting choppy. We push back up. We get a little bit sideways. We don't quite reach that EMA, but we do push up again here. We keep holding on this overnight low level. We push off of it. Notice we have this leg down, and then we just form into a range here. We push lower here. We form into another range at these lows right here. We start going into this downtrend. Unfortunately, there's no clear shorts off of it. By the time you get this, you push off this right here, it's way too choppy to enter into that. Also, you don't want to enter into that low. And then when we get this, we push lower here, we test that key entry point again. You don't get any entry bar. It just closes all the way back down here, which you're not going to enter down there. That makes no sense. That's just shorting too low in this range after a first entry. It doesn't make sense to enter short there. So anyways, we push lower here, we overshoot, immediately leads to a break. Very common when price gets an overshoot, it's very common it'll break right afterward, and then as soon as we get that break, we're attempting a new low. We form this failed second entry. So downtrend, break, and then you get first entry short, second entry short, failure, perfect setup to make a new low. Notice how we're starting to form this larger downtrend here. So let me get this back on. So anyway, this looks pretty good right here. This failed second entry, it definitely happened during the video. I wasn't really paying attention to it. Let me draw this for you there. So first entry long, second entry long, failure. It's a failed second entry right after this downtrend break. You're expecting prices to make a new low. If it definitely looks good after this bar right here closing below the EMA. You got that extra tick higher, pushes back lower there, kind of like you're trapping anyone who went long there. So yeah, this entry looks pretty good right there for 1-to-1. I wouldn't push it past this measured move right here. Notice we have this push down, break, measured move, because you are starting to form resistance down there. Notice how it's like you had this bounce right here. You did go a little bit lower there, but I would be worried about possible resistance right there, pushing it too far, especially when you're pushing it out of this measured move here. So anyway, that looks pretty good. I'm done for the day. Maybe I'll stick around a little bit longer, but I'm basically done. So thanks for watching. Hope this video helped out in some way, and I'll see y'all next time.